Hello and welcome to another MicroChannel executive briefing. My name's Kerry Proctor, and today we're going to have a second look at Microsoft Dynamics 365 Business Central on-prem. Rather than show the product this time, I'm actually going to take a slightly different perspective. There are literally millions of documents available outlining the benefits of going cloud, from saving of your annual maintenance and BREP to SQL savings to integration across the cloud applications. But I thought I might actually today just touch on why some clients are still selecting the on-premise version of Business Central. I'll touch on a few takeaways and a few support dates as well if you're already using NAV. So my definitions. So the definition I'm going to use today, on-prem, could mean your license is running on your own servers or hardware, or it could well be your on-prem license is being run or managed in a private cloud. So once again, you could be running it on Azure. This contrasts to the cloud version of Business Central, which Microsoft hosts. They manage, do the backups, the geo redundancy, etc. So two different approaches. So on-prem could be on-premise, but it could also be hosted for you. Talking to many of our clients, a number of reasons come up why people are still selecting on-premise. Now, whilst fully cloud is certainly far more popular, there's some very good reasons why on-premise is still available. And I have to commend Microsoft for giving our clients this option and the ability to have this ability to make the transition in a more orderly fashion. The first reason that comes up with most business people I talk to is probably a timing one. Not every business is going to go to the cloud in one big jump, and it could well be they're already running Office 365 or Dynamics Sales CRM. And they're doing this in a controlled move, and their ERP will follow over. Sometimes they've already paid for their hardware or recently upgraded the hardware, and the finance guys are going to say, let's get the best we can out of that for the time being. Or their business priorities of an upgrade or a changeover. That is not where the business is focused at this immediate point in time. Second reason, and I've put two together here, is sovereignty and industry considerations. So some organizations will be under a requirement that any hosted servers are in the same country than where they trade. Or it could well be that support services that are accessing the data, even if the servers are in your own country, the support services come from another country. So there's some controls around this. The industry considerations, probably life sciences, which is pharmaceutical or medical device manufacturing, probably a good example. I find most of these clients, by the time they put an ERP system in and go through the full validation process, which is a requirement for the North American FDA or locally our TGA, they do not want upgrades happening automatically to their software. In fact, most life sciences companies upgrade very seldomly because of the sheer effort involved to go back and revalidate. So one of the big benefits of going cloud, where these updates come out and you're always up to date, in some industries is not necessarily seen as a benefit. Obviously, there's also the traditional connectivity, speed, latency. Not every location is great for internet connections, so that could be a reason you go on-prem. And the fourth one I've listed is pretty much just under criticality. Retailers might be a good example. We have retailers that operate many stores across different time zones and different locations, and their actual window for housekeeping is very small. And if you think at the end of the day, a retailer may have to load up store statements of their sales, process those, run through some sort of replenishment, reordering, rebound calculations, etc. They've got a very small window. So they would rather manage it themselves. And it comes down to my next point, which is really clients with very large volumes or very high processing peaks, where they want the ability to prioritize and optimize themselves. And lastly, clients that have some custom data access requirements where they require a direct access to SQL. So I think there's still a valid reason for going on-premise for many clients. As I say, I commend Microsoft for having this opportunity or supplying this opportunity for our clients to make this transition. So the best practice that we're seeing is if you're moving off an earlier version of NAV, or it could well be GP or AX, think of the breadth of the 365 platform. Don't think of purely as an ERP upgrade. So my simple example here in this graphic could well be you're wanting to integrate SharePoint. You want to use Power BI, you may want to use Dynamics CRM, all integrated with Business Central. So you can start to use this platform to address some of your functional requirements. You can go on to Microsoft App Source, and for example, Malcolm and the guys at ODT in Canada have a rental add-on that loads directly into Business Central. So rather than actually write this, you can actually start to use this platform to remove a lot of modifications you may have done in the past and become far more mainstream. The second aspect of best practice then is start now to move away from Seaside, which was the old client-server integrated development environment that was used in NAV or Cal Code, and start considering moving these to extension using Visual Studio. And MicroChannel can help you out with all these things. Right. So think the breadth, think of re-engineering where you can leverage, and then think of moving to extensions. And the other area we can help clients out with is, whilst you may think of this as a move of updating your NAV today, it could well be that part of your journey is to start off with Office 365 or many of the other applications across the platform, CRM, for example. And we can help you prioritize and make that journey to become fully digitized and cloud-based over time. So just so you are aware, I've listed up the differences between Business Central on-prem and the Microsoft managed version. Currently, on-prem still has Seaside and Cal Code available until their release in October 19, and it still has a Windows client, but this will be deprecated in October 19 release. So the difference then is, rather than automatic updates coming out, on-prem, you can apply them as you require or as you wish to, and you can still have a perpetual license on-prem. One other area that I think Microsoft has done a very good job in its early days is they also have their cloud sync, and worthwhile understanding this if you're considering on-prem. So whilst you may have an on-prem version, you can use cloud sync to make use of or replicate to a tenant in the cloud to use, say, Cortana Intelligence. So Cortana Intelligence will actually go through and look at your accounts receivable and look at how individual clients are actually paying the individual payment terms and update your cash flow. So whilst you're on-prem, you can still start to use and develop some of the fully cloud benefits through. So lastly, Microsoft support, depending on the version of NAV, I've listed some of them up here. Have a look at when your extended support expires. You will find that Microsoft on NAV had two types of support, mainstream and extended. Once extended is over, you will not, or very unlikely to get access to any hot fixes, security fixes, etc. Bigger issue I find for clients, however, if you stay on old versions, should you have a disaster of some sort, actually putting back together an environment where the operating system and the version of SQL are no longer available, that's more of the risk there as well. I've also got a little sign down here of a webinar. There should be a pop-up come up on your screen. Feel free. This is the April 2019 release of Business Central, and we'll have a seminar on that. Even if the date is past, come onto our website. We'll record it and happy to send you a version and keep you up to date. That's it. This is Kerry Proctor on behalf of MicroChannel. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, speak again. Bye-bye.